Welcome back to Mended, episode 6, right, Dave?
That's correct.
Perfect, episode 6. I have my friend Matt here. I'll let him introduce himself. We just got done having a nice heated conversation about something super controversial, so we're trying to get back on track from that. Bear with us.
Hi. Thanks
Hi.
for having me. I'm Matt.
Thanks for showing up.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been enjoying the project so far. Very exciting.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you write notes and give us your feedback.
A
Share
little
with the
bit.
audience. We have help. We have people that are like out here looking out for us.
Yeah. No, I was really kind of surprised and nervous when I got the call.
Really?
Yeah.
Why nervous?
I never know what I'm going to say.
I know, dude. I'm the worst.
Like,
Even when I'm interviewing somebody, I'm like, oh, Dave, tell me a little bit about them. Are they gonna talk? Am I gonna have to take lead on it?
you're going to have to leave me a little bit. I'll get sidetracked.
It's literally fine. Sidetracked is my favorite though, because that's what, opens up all the different conversations and stuff.
It's true.
So
It's
I
true.
love that. Like I am like squirrel. You know that saying where they're like squirrel? That's me.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
Same.
We can get sidetracked.
Hmm.
It ain't nothing for me. But tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your story. Just start us off from the jump.
From the jump.
Yeah.
This is always, I have trouble telling my story because I was sort of a frequent relapser for a long time. So I guess, my first introduction to recovery was probably in college. I think I was like a college freshman.
Where'd you
And
go to college?
I went to UMass Amherst.
Okay.
And I'd gotten in trouble not for, like, the one time I wasn't doing anything wrong. Actually got in trouble because somebody saw a friend of mine leave my room with a beer. And then when the RAs knocked on the door, it was like just me in there, like, chilling.
Wait, so
And
you get in trouble for shit like that?
because, as when you're 18, you're not supposed to have alcohol.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
because they saw him leave my room, I was deemed responsible.
Things like that aren't overlooked in the college scene.
I thought that it would be. So, like, I, appealed, or I had to go meet with the
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
house mom person. I don't know what she was called. And, yeah, she just gave me a ton of shit for it. She was like, well, I don't know what you were doing lying in your bed awake at 1:30 on a Saturday. And I was like, I'm 18. 1:30 is not even, like, late. Like,
At all.
I don't, And so I had to meet with, I assume, like some sort of counselor, and she slid me, a 12-step program pamphlet, and I looked at her like she was crazy. I was just like, what are you talking about?
You're wildin'. It was literally a beer coming out of my room.
I was like, I didn't even have any other beer in the room. I was hanging out for the night. It wasn't like I was passed out.
Were you like a good kid? Like a genuinely good kid in your upbringing and like your early adulthood, teenagers? Like I get that vibe that you were like
Yes and no.
good,
Like
not a rule breaker.
So I was kind of like the peacemaker of the household. So, like, my mom, my brother would butt heads because they're like identical twins somehow.
Sorry to jump around, but I just thought that was. I feel like this is important.
This is good for me.
Yeah.
This is how I tell my story naturally.
Perfect. I'm right on the same page with you. So peacemaker.
I was the peacemaker. So, like, I get along. That's what I do, which is a great trait. But then, like, when my brother went off to college, he's a couple years older than me. I have one brother. And all of a sudden the spotlight was on me. And so my parents kind of figured out, like, and they called him, like, do you know your brother's, like, smoking weed on the weekends? Do you know your brother's, like, doing this and that? And, like...
So the attention was on you because your brother's gone, and he was, like, a little bit of a
Like, I knew how to
pain in
just,
the
like,
ass.
be pleasant, and then I could get away with murder because nobody was looking at me, whereas my brother would, like, fight every little thing. Like, why do I have to be home at 11 o'clock or this and that? And it would turn to a huge thing.
You slipped through the cracks.
I was under the radar. So yeah, I wasn't a bad kid, but I liked,
To test the waters.
like as far as like, I like to skateboard and I was in like a punk band, and so I thought getting drunk and high was like just what you do, and so we'd try to get that done every weekend.
And it went into college, and then that's when you
Yeah,
started
college.
to see a little bit of the repercussions as far as the drinking is concerned. So she slid you that 12. So I want to get you back on track because I got you off track. So.
Yeah, like I would have college. It became apparent that like anytime people were using something, I would want to use twice as much.
Did you notice that in real time?
It didn't really occur to me. I just really knew that I loved to get like wasted, and I loved smoking like as much weed as there was possible. And eventually, yeah, like you said, there were sort of repercussions, and it like somehow, some way, it was never. I never got in trouble like the times like I would have deserved it. It was always like random
Stupid
things
shit.
like that where I felt I was innocent because I was sitting in my room watching a movie, like, and someone came in with a beer and then left, and now I'm responsible for that. So I had this like this mindset of if you don't catch me red-handed, then nothing's wrong, and it probably wasn't until like my second semester.
What were you in college for? What were you studying?
I bounced around a lot. I went undeclared, which was probably a mistake in hindsight, but I ended up doing some stuff in economics and then hospitality management. But sort of my mental health started to take a real turn that first winter, so like that second semester, and I just didn't have, I had no idea how to even recognize what was going on. And so I just, started kind of just using marijuana as like a crutch, and that didn't work well at all. And so college was just kind of that struggle of balancing like my motivation with, drug and alcohol use, and like basically just trying to get to class. I was like smart enough where if I could show up for class and put in like, the bare minimum amount of effort, I would be fine.
Yeah, you would get by. You would pass.
Yeah. But there was a lot of times where I would get overwhelmed or get behind, and I would just be like, forget it. And I would just like never go back to that class. But I also wouldn't like withdraw or anything from the, like from the class. So I'd end up with these like low grades. And yeah, it became sort of unmanageable. And
Did you ever think twice about that 12-step book that she slid you throughout your entire process?
So I didn't think about that until way later. I had a friend probably, I don't know, 3 years later, who he went to college in California, and he ended up getting a DUI, and so while he was back on summer break or something, he had to go to AA meetings. And so naturally I was like a little curious, and he told me, he was like, I like to party and I like to get fucked up, but like these people have like real problems. And I was like, oh good, like now that I got a guy on the inside, like
On the inside.
I don't have to go and check it out, because like I was curious.
Yeah.
Addiction runs in my family, and I have an aunt who's in that 12-step program, and I have an uncle who just stopped drinking on his own. And so my mom, like my whole life, was kind of just like waiting for one of us, me or my brother, to kind of go down that road. I didn't make it to my first meeting until I want to say like 4 or 5 years after that. So I was, living in East Boston. We had this whole house to ourselves. It was like a 3-bedroom, but we had like 5 people in there. One of those things. And I was working in the restaurant industry, and it was basically fine for me to drink on the job.
Yeah, super normalized.
So I loved it. But eventually, it got to the point where like, I was missing shifts, and luckily I became really good friends with the owner chef of the restaurant, and he convinced me to go to a meeting with him. We were about to expand. The restaurant had been open, I don't know, 5-6 years, and we were putting a bar in. And so I assume he probably thought it was necessary that...
he intervened with some type of action.
Yeah. And, because I never would have gone on my own. It was way too scary. I don't know, like walking in, I thought it was going to be, full of like... I had this picture in my head of like bikers and like old sailors with like peg legs and like eye patches.
At a meeting?
I don't know.
No, I love it. Keep going.
I was like just terrified. I did not know what to expect. And like instead I walk in, and it was like we went to this meeting in the North End that isn't there anymore, and it was just full of like regular people. And like, in the North End, it's like, you get a lot of young professionals, so young men and women who looked like people I would like hang out with. I was probably, I don't know, 25 or so.
And that was your first exposure to the community?
Yes. And, I identified right away, which was good.
A lot of people don't.
But I also was, like I said, terrified. So I did not want to get involved.
Why?
I was too scared to, like, I was just too anxious to, I could barely raise my hand, and like they would go around the room and everybody would identify. I was too, like, for like 3 weeks, I couldn't even say like, I'm Matt, I'm an alcoholic. I was just like, I'm Matt.
I start to sweat when that happens. Like when I go to a meeting for a celebration, or anytime somebody's, like, oh, I'm celebrating. As soon as I figure out that people identify themselves as me, because they don't do it at every meeting anymore. So I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's bad though. I'm the same way.
I like it because there's usually a person who is there who is like the way I was and has trouble identifying as well. Unless they're there for support or something, which happens. But
sometimes I feel like a lot of people don't even struggle with identifying. They just struggle with like, being socially awkward, or being like, nervous.
I don't know what's happening, and I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to say?
Yeah. As for me, just to clarify, it's just like being an outsider type thing. Like I'm not a person in recovery, and I'm at a meeting, so it's an awkward feeling as it is. So every time I have to, I'm like, Lauren, and then I feel so awkward. So that's what it is.
You don't do the I'm here for support?
No, I freeze. I just all I can muster up is my name. I'm like, I can't. But yeah, so that's why I was like, yeah, no. Some people they just freak out with having a public speak, even if it's one word.
Yeah, I get that. It took me. I wasn't able to speak in meetings until years later. I'd gone to an IOP that I did not like very much, but there were some, good staff members there, and one of the ladies, one of the women suggested this morning meeting that met 5 days a week, and it was like a round robin style. And so you didn't have to speak, but like it was going to get to you. And so even just like saying, hi, my name's Matt, I'm an alcoholic, and like I'm going to pass today. Yeah. That actually like
worked your
really
way
helped me like dip my toe in the water like slowly. But like the difference was that I found like by the second week, you'd gone to, 10 meetings, which would be the equivalent of like 3 months if you were going to a weekly meeting. Right. So you got to know everybody faster.
Rapid, yeah.
So I was able to feel a lot more comfortable a lot more quickly. And it ended up really working for me, that format and that consistency. really helped me kind of relax and be able to participate.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring it back a little bit. Like, what did your early recovery? What did your like? Did you go to treatment? Did you have to go inpatient? Were you able to just set aside?
So I resisted, recovery for as long as possible. Like once there's an apparent problem and, my boss was taking me to, meetings and this and that, like, my family had sort of already seen it. And my solution was like, all right, well, I just won't get drunk around them. And so for years, like, I just tried to, like,
Drink in isolation?
pretty much. And that became sort of destructive and lonely. And then it wasn't until there was, like, one particular, like, 4th of July or something like that, where there was a big party. And, the 4th of July is, like, a big celebration. I live in a beach town, and so there's always, like, a big house party, maybe a few that you're going to. And for whatever reason, like, in my experience, like, house parties, like, people would be drinking, maybe smoking weed, and then someone might have a little bit of
Coke
whatever.
in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh. We got our voice. Go ahead.
And so, for whatever reason, this party, like, everybody had a little bit of something different. And so I went on, I had just one of those days where everything that was offered to me, I took. I was like a little garbage can, and I was just taking everything. And, basically everything blew up my face, and my family convinced me and kind of dragged me to the IOP to seek at least partial treatment.
So that's what the beginning of your recovery looked like, or were you still fighting it at that point?
I became open to it because, we had it finally on paper. Like I had tested positive for, like, literally, like, 11 different substances.
Nah.
Like, it was.
Did you know you did all of that, or no?
Yes.
It wasn't anything that you thought you took, but you weren't taking, and it ended up being something else. You know what I mean?
Maybe it wasn't 11, but it was, like, at least, I don't know.
Because today, like somebody will
5
come.
or 6. It was an amount of, like, it was an amount of substances that, like, I would have been proud about, like, years prior.
Yeah. No, I wasn't sure, because some people come and they're like, oh, I smoked crack, and they have, like, crack and meth and methadone and all this shit in their urine because they didn't know that, like, it. So I was wondering.
No, there was nothing on there that surprised me, to answer the question. So yeah, that was my first introduction. And it went, sort of okay. But, like, the reasons I liked to be there were, like, not recovery related. Most of the people in my little group didn't want to be there, which made it tough to go.
What were they stipulated?
Probably. Like, I was so naive back then that I didn't know anything about anything. And so I was just kind of like,
Yeah, you didn't have a clue.
I'm here. I made friends with a woman named Brittany who lived next town over. That was great. And then I fell in love with a bank robber whose name I don't even remember, which is terrible.
That's fine.
And I thought she was the coolest ever.
She probably fucking was.
I mean, yeah, she was like this little thing. She had, like, the thickest Boston accent ever. She had just, she was in, like, a halfway house because she did 5 years federal prison.
Good for her.
For armed robbery. And, yeah.
She was it. She's the reason you kept showing up.
I was like, oh my God, this girl, she's perfect. She's perfect.
Was she? Do you still talk to her?
I wish I did. I really wish I did.
Find her.
I really wish I did. No, we lost contact because towards the end of the IOP, like when I was gonna like graduate or whatever, I had like just basically had another just complete jackpot, and
Oh, you hit the jackpot somewhere else?
what?
Is that what you said?
I had like a figurative like I just complete blow up. I got like wasted out of my mind. You know, like I was like basically blacked out for like hours and hours and hours. So I remember bits and pieces, but like it's shoddy. And ultimately, I'd been like threatening to kill myself, and so, you know, my brother I think ended up bringing me to the emergency room, and like that's not really a great place to bring someone who's like blackout drunk, because like there's not a lot they can do for you. But I think some way they got me to basically admit that I would be a danger to myself. And so I woke up in the 4th floor BMC psych ward, which, you know, was horrifying. It was a horrifying experience. I'm a little bit grateful for it now because it put a lot of things into perspective, you know, not so much at the time. But
You were sectioned there?
I wasn't, so I don't even know. I honestly don't know.
How long were you there?
I was there for 3 days until,
So you were on a watch. You were probably sectioned on a watch.
I think so,
Yeah.
until my parents found me, and then I think I was there. I want to say I was there for 7 days, but it could have been less.
Probably felt like an eternity anyway. So you probably said something in the emergency room, or somebody reported that you said something that required them placing you on a 72-hour hold or whatever.
I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
Which was good because I was, you know, I was out of my mind. I was suicidal. And so that was, you know, necessary. But yeah, waking up there, I didn't even really know where I was, like, at all. I had no idea. Yeah, it was just like some like scary movie. Like I come out of my room and like, you know, I'm basically wearing like a Johnny or something, and I'm like walking around and like the lights are like flickering, and like I find like this bathroom, but like the curtain is like ripped on the floor, and like the water is just like running.
Shut
And there's like
up.
no one around. I can hear like some guy like screaming, like, but muffled, like he's definitely in a room like down the way, and I'm like, oh my God. So I turn around, I start walking back the other way, and this woman comes around, dressed in like this like black dress or something, and she's like, ma'am, and she's like calling out, but she's like looking like over my shoulder. And so I turn around and like there is nobody there.
Shut
She's like, sir, like, can you tell her to wait for me? And like she comes like, you know,
Did you tell her to wait for her?
skipping along. I didn't say anything. I was just like, And so she like goes chasing after like a ghost and like goes the other way, and I'm just like, oh my.
You
like,
must have been freaking out.
It was really, really bad.
Because at this point, you're like completely lucid. Like you're no longer under the influence. You're no longer like you've come back to reality a little bit, but just didn't know where the fuck you were.
Yeah, and I was also like just hungover, like I've only been, you know, a handful of times. It was so bad, and like I didn't know how the meds worked. I didn't know anything at all. So people started lining up for meds, and I lined up, and like I don't even know what I got. I don't even know if they were supposed to be for me. But I'm pretty sure I got like the tiniest little Librium, which like didn't help. I thought I was gonna die because I was like having withdrawals so bad. And then we had like maybe 2 cigarette breaks a day, and that was like killing me. I couldn't handle it.
That sounds horrifying.
And the best part, that first night, they put on a Requiem for a Dream for us, which, if you don't know the film, is about addiction, and there's like very vivid, heroin use in it.
So like super triggering.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
What's it called?
Requiem for a Dream.
Can you text that to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lauren has seen 0 movies.
No, I'm not a movie watcher.
It's okay. It's for the fans still.
I know, but I want to too.
Oh, you should watch it. It's good.
I'm going to.
It's got Jennifer Connelly. Yeah.
Is it good though?
It's very good. It's very good.
But could have been absolutely triggering for the wrong person.
Oh, people definitely left. Like, there was like a couple that was there together somehow. Or maybe they met there. I don't even know. But like,
They dipped.
yeah, in the middle of it, they're like, "We got to go get high. Like, let's get out of here."
Wow.
And I was just like, "Okay,
Huh.
all right."
So what happened after that?
From there, I went to like a more traditional 2-week rehab, which I think I stayed for 3 weeks though, because that's just how I like to do things.
Like an inpatient detox setting, CSS type thing?
It would have been a post detox. I don't know the term.
Like a CSS, TSS, yeah. That's okay.
Yeah. And so
Inpatient though. Couldn't have your phone, couldn't leave, things like that.
Inpatient-esque. Well, I went back later and things had changed. So at the time, we could have phones. We could do everything except for like dispense some of our meds, and like we used to be able to drive to like Dunkin' Donuts in the morning. It was really lax the first time around. The second time there, clearly somebody had ruined it for everybody. But they were also still like changing, like they were coming out of like their COVID policy stuff.
That makes sense.
So we used to like ride in the van. We go to like meetings outside of the rehab, which was like, the best part of the day, because you could stop at like the gas station and get candy or whatever. And yeah, no, there was the staff there was phenomenal. The psychiatrist there was like this, I guess, well-known guy. And I was really hoping to get, basically some help with like anxiety and depression, because I had it sort of nailed down that was the crux of like my using, was that I felt anxious, and so I would drink, and I would get depressed, and so I would, use. And
How old were you at this time?
I was probably 29.
Okay.
I want to say.
Still working at the restaurant?
Yes. Like,
I just like to piece things together.
yeah, I got fired from that restaurant like 3 times
That's fine.
and hired like 4 times, so I was probably there.
They obviously liked you. They kept taking you back.
Yes. No, yeah. For better or for worse, I got a lot of chances, which was wonderful.
Or enabling.
Right.
Who's to say?
Right.
Whatever. It's literally fine. So you're like 29. You don't know if you're still working there or not. Whatever. Neither here nor there. You went inpatient. You stayed for like 2-3 weeks because that's how you like to do things.
Yeah, if it's a 2-week program, I'm staying for 3.
Yeah. You're an overachiever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I did well there, like, because I had, at that point, whatever, 3-4 years of AA meeting experience. So like I knew the lingo, and like I could spit it back at you, and basically it sounded like I knew what I was doing. And I think I believed that I did, honestly. From there, I went to a long-term dual diagnosis place, like residential, which was way up in the middle of Vermont, in the middle of nowhere. And so their whole thing was like, basically it was on like a ranch.
Ugh.
And so they had animals, they had gardens, they had
It was serene.
all kinds of stuff. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But it was like a different kind of life.
It's not real life. Unless you make it permanently real life.
Yes.
But that's not where we come from. You're from the city, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you plan to return to the city?
Yeah. 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 And so I adapted just fine because, you know, I had no problem like getting up in the morning and working and stuff like that. But I ultimately got like frustrated because I felt that like my, you know, mental health issues weren't going anywhere. I wasn't progressing. And I actually ended up getting drunk there, which you would think would be impossible.
In the middle of nowhere, yeah. How did you even do that?
We
Did you milk a cow or something? And figure out a way.
I mean, for good behavior, you could get on these like shopping trips, and they would take you down into Rutland, Vermont.
Oh, so you earned it.
And you could go to like Walmart or whatever. And so people had like fish, and so I decided I wanted to fish. So I got like a little fish, and I was happy with my little, you know, little beta fish, whatever, little fighting fish. And but then my friend, not a friend of mine, but someone I was buddies with while I was there, at least in the beginning, he convinced me that if I just bought a bigger fish tank, we could get as many bottles of booze as we wanted, open the box up, throw the booze in, and then tape it back up like it was still brand new. And so that's exactly what we did, and it worked.
Literally so much better than milking a cow and figuring out a way.
It worked so well that they like drove us. We convinced them not to drop us off at the you know, like the main campus, because it was like, you know, a 1/4-mile trek uphill to get back to our house, and we didn't want to carry it. And so they drove us like door to door with the fish tank full of booze.
Alcohol.
Like, thanks.
Oh, that must have been such an accomplishment at that time.
It
I mean,
was-
obviously not, but you know what I mean.
It was great for like an hour, maybe two. It could have been longer. I don't know. I obviously got like drunk as fast as possible, as quick as possible. And
Did you get kicked out?
he did, I did not. But, you know, the results of our actions were like very, very different. Like I was just kind of like bouncing around, like showing people like metal music that I loved, and like,
You were a happy drunk?
yeah.
He wasn't?
No. He had like a rehab romance with this woman whose husband used to build BDSM dungeons in California or Salt Lake or something. I want to say Salt Lake. This is a true story. It's
This
not
is great. I fucking love these stories.
well, okay. It's
Don't ruin it.
so she was like, you know,
Hold on. So your friend that wasn't a friend, but was a friend at the time, convenient rehab friend, had a rehab
yeah,
romance.
we'll call him Brian because that's not his name.
Okay, Brian, your rehab friend, had a rehab romance.
He had this rehab romance with the girl Mary, and that's not her name either.
Perfect. Mary had a husband.
Mary had a husband who she was estranged from, but her husband, he used to build BDSM dungeons, according to her, you know.
You don't really make that up.
I believed her.
Very often.
She was like this little goth girl, and, you know, like, I was kind of like warning her about my friend Brian. Not like warning, but just being like, hey, like, you just got here. You know, you should worry about yourself.
Yeah, your husband's like a psychopath of sorts, and you should probably be careful.
Right. And you don't need a boyfriend while you're in treatment, you know? Like, Brian's my buddy, and I like him too.
Yeah, just not a good idea.
And she's like, yeah, but you know, like, you know how, like, when you want to do something bad and, like, you know it's bad, but you also know you're going to do it anyway?
Yep.
And I was like, I do. Like, I know what you mean.
So it was a full send from there. As soon as she said that, it's like full send.
Yeah.
So
and
wait, Brian crashed out is what you're getting to.
yeah. So her and Brian would abscond for all hours of the day and whatever. So Brian was the one who convinced me to do the fish tank trick.
Yep.
The man might have been a genius, but there was also a side of him that we hadn't seen. And so we thought that they had been going on walks like in the woods or whatever. You know, there's all kinds of paths. There was a lake like way up. But what had actually been happening is he got like a little job in the kitchen. And so he'd been like stealing food and like setting up this like camp out in the woods.
Shut up.
And he had like all kinds of stuff, like a little, you know, like a camp.
Shut up.
And so I was not there. I only saw the end result. But what we think happened was he took his booze and went with her out to the camp. They got loaded. And then at some point, he tied her up. I assume it started fun, given her husband's expertise.
Giving her, yep.
But it ended with him like beating her severely. And we only learned that because while we were having dinner, there was like a call that came down to like the main house, like the main thing. And somehow I'd overheard it. And so next thing I know, I am like running. She appeared like in front of my like little house thing, so I went running up the hill to go like see her. And like, yeah, when I saw her, her face looked like a UFC fighter who had just lost. Like it was just swollen,
Shut
like
up.
out to here.
Where was Brian?
We didn't see him until maybe the next day. But yeah, I started like screaming, crying. I was a mess. 'Cause you know, internally I'm blaming
like
myself.
You played a role.
Yeah,
Yep.
I feel responsible. And that's basically how I got caught, is because people were like consoling me, and they're like, "This kid smells like he drank a liter of Jim Beam," because I did. And so yeah, he ended up. I think he got arrested, but I believe she didn't want to press charges or whatever. We wanted her to come back, but she wasn't comfortable, you know, which I understand. And yeah, ended up being super traumatic, which so like I like telling the fish tank story because like it starts off with like a little bit of like, it sounds like boyhood hijinks kind of like stuff, but
No, that was a really good story until the end. Now I can't even talk about how good of a story it was, but
right,
it almost made it.
terrifying.
I know. I still think it was a great story, but I mean, aside from the ending.
Yeah, no, it was it fucked me up because like I said, I felt like responsible.
I mean, you couldn't have for a second thought that him filling the fish tank with booze was going to end up in something like that.
Right.
You just thought you guys were going to get fucking hammered.
Yep. You know, and I came to terms with that. And like the good news was like I was taking my, you know, recovery more seriously after that. You know, I was able to kind of sit down and explain to my, you know, the doctor, the psychiatrist, I guess, you know, what I was feeling, why I think I sort of lashed out. Because, you know, being that peacemaker and being in the service industry like my whole life, I am excellent at like just masking my own feelings. Like I'll go to the doctor and they'll be like, "Oh, you know, how are you feeling? How's your depression?" And I'll be like, "Oh, you know, it's good. It's bad. It's this." And so sometimes it can be difficult for professionals to like diagnose me or to read me, because I'll sit there, you know, and just like be like, "I'm extremely anxious." And they're like, "Are you anxious right now?"
But you're like so flat.
And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You don't look it." And I'm like, "Well, I trained myself."
Internally, I'm dying.
Right.
Yeah.
And so yeah, ended up being helpful because I learned sort of a little bit of like emotional intelligence and like how to communicate how I'm actually feeling and how to identify those feelings, how to express them. The bad news was they prescribed me like a benzo, which worked immediately. I loved it.
They usually do.
And it was like a low dose, but it was enough to get me on the right track. It was enough to get me more involved in the local recovery community.
As far as like calming your anxiety.
Yeah, just from a anxiety standpoint. I moved to Burlington, Vermont, like 4 months later. So I moved out of the dual diagnosis. I was like wanting to get on with like the real world, real life. And yeah, I got a job. I was working in this like French restaurant. I was hitting the recovery community, 12-step meetings real hard. And I even enrolled in a couple classes up at UVM. So I was like doing it. I was doing it all.
Yeah, killing life.
And, I had a roommate who was I met in the dual diagnosis program. So we, after a few months, I was subletting somewhere. We moved in together. And somewhere along the way, basically, I want to say the benzo just like stopped working because it just felt like it wasn't enough anymore. And unfortunately, like I discovered that like kombucha, do you know what kombucha is? It's
Yeah,
like that
the
tea.
drink.
Yeah. It's fermented. And so technically
There's
it's
like traces of alcohol in it or whatever.
yeah, it
Yeah.
can be like the same as like a like an old Duels or something. So there's like a 0.5%, which means if you drink 10 of them, that's more than a beer. And so you can get like a little buzz if you're on a benzo because you'll feel the effects of alcohol that much stronger.
So you were chugging kombucha?
I was chugging kombucha and loving it. But like I knew what I was doing.
But in your head, you're like, this is healthy. It's supposed to be like a probiotic, gut healthy, friendly drink.
Yeah,
or tea
but not
or
when you drink
whatever.
it by the growler. I found like a place I could fill up my little thing down at the co-op. And yeah, from there, like, it's like, why not just drink a case of O'Doul's if I'm having a bad day and I'm depressed? Like, why not, drink that the gallon of kombucha? And after a little while, like I convinced myself, like, I'm on this drug that I'm basically abusing, and I am drinking things with alcohol in it for effect. So I'm not really clean. I'm not really sober. I'm not really doing recovery anyway.
Right. Might as well fuck it all up.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So as soon as I started to get overwhelmed in school, as soon as, I think I had faced like some sort of rejection in my dating life. I think several, actually. It was like 3 in a row. And so I just did what I always did.
Self-sabotage.
Yeah. And just before I knew it, I was back to drinking the same amount or more than before. Which wasn't fun because I had a roommate who expected me to be sober. And I don't know if he did it first or I did it first, because I heard rumors later that he was doing weird stuff the whole time too. But it quickly became an untenable situation with the both of us just off the rails.
Out in Vermont.
In Burlington, yeah.
Did you come back home?
I didn't recognize the need to come back home until I had reached a new level of like bottom. And like the quick story is one of the girls I had been seeing was an addict, and like so that's why things didn't work out the first time around because I was clean, and I was just like, yeah, you know, she doesn't want help. She didn't. She just liked doing heroin, and like I get that. Like as a fellow addict, I was like, I understand, and I can't change you. But when like the booze stopped working, and I was searching for something stronger, I knew who to call.
Yeah.
And so I hit her up like immediately and basically was like bribed her like, hey, if I give you, you know, whatever amount of money, can you get stuff and we can split it up however you want. Like I was so desperate just to numb myself. And so all of a sudden she was back in my life immediately.
Yeah.
You know, because that was a great arrangement for an
100%.
addict. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be like, I'm coming 80-20.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Like it was bad. I did not get a good deal.
Right.
And so, yeah, at 30 years old, all of a sudden she's like teaching me how to put needles in my arm. And, you know, 2 months later, I'm overdosing. And I just remember kind of like waking up and she was gone.
Of course she was.
My roommate is in my bedroom, like just telling me just breathe and stuff. And I'm furious because I don't know. I guess the Narcan makes you.
Yeah,
Your heart fucking go crazy. Yeah, I was, and yeah, so the paramedics came and everything, and like I somehow convinced them that I was like fine, even though I think she had a Narcan me like 3 times, and yeah, that wasn't the end, but it was like I sort
close
of
enough to it.
I sort of had to recognize like, you know, this is gonna kill me, and this woman does not care about me. And yeah, the roommate was struggling just as bad as I was, and so I had to leave. And so like, you know, geographical cures like don't solve everything, but you know,
have an impact.
In that circumstance, like it did help because I didn't have any contacts like that back home. I knew at the very least, I wouldn't have, you know, the hard drugs I wanted as easily accessible. Yeah, and before I knew it, I was back at my morning meeting a few days a week, and back in the Boston area.
Where do you feel like you are today in your recovery?
Today it's an interesting question. So I hit 1 year on June 22nd.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And like, so that's like a humbling place to be. I had a little over a year going into COVID, and you know, the isolation and just the craziness of like the world just kind of got to me. I was like, well, you know, if the world's going to end, then fuck it. And so that took me out then. And it took me, like, 4 years to get back? Almost 5, I guess. And, yeah, so a year, I think, is a humbling place to be for me because it's enough to feel like you should know what you're doing. But at the same time, like, I know that I don't feel that way. Like I even changed everything about my program this time around. I changed which 12-step fellowship I attend. And the reason for that was I didn't like feeling like I was like I had in that first rehab, that like I knew the lingo. I knew how to fit in. I wanted to feel like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I needed like more humility, that like I've been trying this for like 10 years and yet longer and yet I can't stay clean. And so I thought that would be helpful to really feel like a newcomer again.
Mm-hmm. Are you comfortable sharing like which you switched from NA to AA to NA? Do you feel comfortable or no?
I don't think it matters because, like, I guess I don't feel uncomfortable sharing it. I switched from AA to NA. But my only hesitation to say that is because
It's different for everybody.
it's just my
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
But
It's just for my interest, honestly, is why I'm asking.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know that there's... So, like, I identify as an addict now because that's what that 12-step program kind of believes. And, like, alcohol is a drug, period.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But then, you know, in 2016, I was a full-fledged heroin addict.
Mm-hmm.
So I identify in that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I know there's a lot of like alcoholics who just can't identify in NA meetings, which I think is sad because you know, that fellowship has a lot to offer, and I credit it for keeping me clean.
I love that. I'm always interested in because a lot of people make the switch. A lot of people have to change it up, and a lot of people have to, like you said, find more humility or need a different pace of a fellowship because they're, you know, different paces. So I'm always interested in finding out what worked better for a specific individual after hearing some of your story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the main reason, I mean, that was part of it. That's what I found beneficial, is what I've shared, is switching and feeling like a newcomer. But a lot of the meetings that the IOP I went to last fall, Power of Recovery, that group kind of went to, the people in the Sober House Network, were NA meetings. And I knew I had to create, like, you know, a foundation and like a community for myself.
A network, yeah.
And so I started following around, you know, those people.
Yeah, I remember.
And like inserting myself and just being like, oh, where are you guys going tonight?
Yeah.
And I would just be there. And like eventually, you know, it got easier. I like made friends along the way. And I found out that like NA wasn't as weird and mysterious as I thought it was at first. And yeah, I really found the positive aspects of you know, feeling like a newcomer, because I still feel like a newcomer. I knew what to expect, like with the year, because the first time it happened, like I don't know, I just had like this imagination of like every time someone would get like the medallion, they'd come up and like make some like amazing statement, and they seemed so happy and polished. And like for me, it wasn't like that. Like that day was just like any other day. And like the first time around, I think I remember having just like a terrible day, honestly, and I had nothing to share at like my little mini celebration.
Yeah.
And so yeah, keeping things like back to basics and like staying humble and trying to change my outlook on life, like keeping gratitude like front and center, has been my focus. Like a lot of people will use the phrase like remaining teachable, and like, yeah, like for someone like me who's been in and out for over 10 years, it can be hard to feel like, you know, this is going to work this time, and have that
Faith.
belief. Yeah.
I think it's a good thing that you don't know. You still feel like you really don't know what you're doing, in a sense. You know what I mean? I think that it's a good thing to have, because it's, I mean, a year is still considered like early recovery, right? So it's a good thing because that disease aspect creeps up on you and can make you believe you do know what you're doing, and that's dangerous. So I think that sometimes it's a good thing to still be able to like sit and admit that like I don't really know what I'm doing still.
Yeah.
Even though you have.
I've heard
learned.
it described as like a healthy fear.
Yeah.
You know, like I haven't forgotten that, you know, a drink or a drug isn't going to make my life better, because I remember what it was like. And like I know the type of person I am. Like if you tell me that like something's not going to work, I'm like, yeah, right. If you tell me that something's bad for me, I'm like, no, it's not that bad. Let me show you. And if something's supposed to be good for me, like I probably don't want it, you know? Like I got basically like reverse psychology by a counselor in rehab about a year ago. And because I like mentally I'm like 13 still, and so he basically was just like, well, if you've been going to AA meetings for the past 10 years, I'm not sure that another AA meeting is really going to be what helps you. And like I was at first like over the moon. Like I think I even called my mom. I was like, Mom,
Gave you
like
permission?
guess what? Like I don't have to go back. I don't have to do that. They're gonna fix me up. They're gonna give me some sleeping pills or whatever, and my anxiety's gonna be gone. So then later that night when I'm at like the required commitment that like comes in, we all sit there. It kind of occurred to me that that was a foolish thought for me to have. Because I was kind of like, the speaker kind of asked us to examine, our own lives and our own programs, and like what were we actually doing for ourselves that, was working. And, I remembered like there had been times in my life when I took 12-step programs seriously and my life got better. And so I realized that, I didn't have to come up with a bold new strategy, and I wasn't going to be prescribed like a magic pill, and that I could just do what other addicts have done, and I could stay clean.
Yeah. And you're doing it still to this day.
I'm doing it. Yeah.
Where are we at?
57 minutes.
Oh, perfect.
A long one.
We go for about an hour. Well, we'll wrap it up then, so that we don't go over time. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks for having me.
You'll come back to critique us more?
Oh, certainly.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Matt. We're good.